All right, I'm currently on the phone with the guys of In Vinegar, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the chance to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I play guitar and sing.
Hi, I'm Alex. I play drums and percussion.
I'm McCarthy, and I play bass.
And I'm Misha. I play keys.
Excellent. Thanks for joining me, guys. So I like to kind of start at the beginning with these interviews. Why don't you each kind of take a turn going into a little bit of detail about, how you found music and what about it was important enough to you to want to pursue it?
Well, this is Alex speaking. I first got into drums when I was 9 years old, and it was kind of just by happening. I didn't have a very musical family, and I was able to buy a drum set off a family friend for $20. And from there, the rest is history.
This is Jesse. I started playing guitar at 6, and I just kind of immediately started writing songs as well. I guess I'm more of a songwriter probably than a guitarist or a vocalist per se. I grew up in Tennessee, and music is kind of everywhere around there, and just kind of felt like it was the natural thing to do.
This is McCarthy speaking. I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, and I was encouraged by family members to pick up, I guess, the drums when I was like 6 or 7, and was just encouraged to keep doing that. And at some point, found guitar and played trombone in my school orchestra in like throughout high school and stuff. And I didn't actually pick up bass really until I was about 17, and I was encouraged to keep doing that by teachers and friends and stuff. And so I guess that's around the time we started in Vinegar, and here we are.
This is Misha. I grew up in a really musical family. Both my parents are musicians, so it kind of went without question that I got pushed to learn classical as a kid. So I come from that background. And as I got kind of into my teens and got older, I sort of started applying that to, different styles and trying to find my own groove and find what I want to do with that and apply it to music that I'm interested in.
Okay. And, how many kind of iterations of a band prior to joining the current lineup would each of you kind of say you went through to get where you are?
Gosh, this is Jesse, but I mean, McCarthy and Alex have played in a ton of bands together up to this point. This project started off as McCarthy and I kind of just writing songs at our parents' house in high school. And then we started playing with Alex and Misha, and we've just kind of kept this 4-piece going for a while.
I was the latest addition. It started off, I think, or for a year or two, it was a trio with bass, guitar, and drums. And I think we added keys, and that was the last. Really hasn't changed since then, pretty much.
Yeah, and we also we all play in a bunch of different groups and projects outside of this as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so along those lines, you're all contributing to other groups as well. What would you say is kind of your main focus? Would it be the current band?
For me, as far as original music goes, yes. When it comes to other projects, a lot of us just do, cover gigs, restaurant gigs, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to creating something original and putting out kind of a unique product, this, for me at least, is definitely pretty much my sole focus.
Yeah, I think in a lot of the other bands that we play in, we're more of auxiliary members, where we kind of just, do what we say and don't have a lot of creative input.
Okay, and then kind of the same question, but a little bit different. How much of your time would you say you actually contribute or, devote to creating music? I know some of you said that you pursued music outside of the band to do, whether it be restaurant, cover band type things. Is there also like, full-time jobs going on, or is it the band that's, taking up all the time, and music in general, I should say?
Yeah, we're all full-time musicians, and some of us are still in school. We all went to the College of Charleston at one point or another, and last year, all four of us were in the main jazz combo at the school. So I'd say we're all definitely committed to just being full-time musicians.
Okay, so you guys kind of all met each other pretty organically going through school, and you didn't have to go through the rigors of Craigslist or finding people through, Facebook musician groups or things like that.
Yeah,
No, definitely not.
A lot of our connections go back to high school. We met each other at different points, played in different bands together, and somehow realized we could all create efficiently together. And it came about probably around that time, slightly post-college or pre-college, but it became more of a clear idea when we were all older.
Okay. So with what you're currently doing, where do you want to see that get to? And are you guys currently recording like an album, or do you kind of look at releasing on more of like the digital regular release kind of cadence?
Well, we just put out our debut album. It's 11 songs that we've been working on it for a long time, since the beginning of this band, and we've just been polishing that. And I think for a long time, getting that album out, and we had a great release show for it and everything, and getting that together was our main objective. And now I think we're taking a bit of a breather for a second and trying to evaluate what the next step is for us.
This is also our first foray, pretty much. There was an earlier demo, but in this lineup, I think this is our very first kind of professional recorded output. So we're just trying to promote that and get it heard by as many people as possible, because I think we're all pretty happy of this as a representation of who we are and what our music sounds like. So we're excited for other people to actually get to hear it, not just locally, but all over.
Absolutely. So obviously things right now are a bit tough to get out and play, but are you guys looking at booking shows and actually performing live, or is it more of like a studio project?
Yeah, I mean, we play live all the time. I guess in a weird way, it's kind of a silver lining. We live in South Carolina, and it's pretty conservative here. Therefore, restaurants and venues and everything opened up a long time ago, and we've been able to, play. I don't know. I mean, we all probably play like 4 gigs a week or 3 or so.
Something like that.
That's pretty lucky.
Yeah.
It seems like most of the people that I talk to are kind of in the whole transition period of trying to figure out how to get back on the road and actually book live shows and things. It's nice to hear from some people that have actually been able to get out there and do it, and it hasn't impacted them too much. All right.
I will say.
Oh, go ahead.
I will say. That there's been less chances, I think. Booking original shows is a little different for us than booking cover sets. But Charleston's pretty good at having, and the city's really adaptable, and it's a great opportunity for musicians because there's so many venues who basically live around musicians, right? Live around live music. It's such a major attraction to the city. And there's a lot of people trying to make it happen here. And that kind of works both ways, because you have bars and venues who are profiting off that, and then musicians who obviously getting the chance to play and getting the chance to get out there.
Right, definitely. So what are kind of your ambitions for where you'd like to see you guys be in 5 or 10 years?
I think it's hard to say. I think all of us are pretty curious to know what that looks like, quite frankly.
That's an honest answer. I like it.
This doesn't really answer your question, but I think to what Alex is saying, one of the difficulties and kind of unique things about this band is that we all are kind of a mismatched group, like we're all coming from really different backgrounds and we all do different stuff and we're into different types of music and have completely different kind of pathways within music. So it kind of makes it hard to evaluate plans because we're on such different tracks, but it also kind of makes the music really cool because, you know, we don't all see eye to eye. So there's a lot of cool stuff within the compromise in the middle.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely a good way to approach making music as well. So why don't each of you kind of take a round and kind of share one or two of like your favorite memories of participating in music, just something that stands out to you.
Personally, I think coming to college and realizing I could get a lot of these gigs, that period of time of being 18 and realizing the resources I had at my hands in music at such an early age was a really lucky thing. So I would say around that period of my life, I played a couple of really good shows with in Vinegar and the side bands around that period of time, around 2018, 2019. And that was probably the strongest I ever felt musically, knowing I was capable of sitting in the seat and making formal music and also being able to get original music out there. You can't really pin that down to one performance, but it was a pretty powerful feeling.
Yeah, this is Jesse. I guess in a similar kind of vein, I think around the same time. So we're all, you know, pretty young. We're like 21 to 23. I guess in about 27 or 2018, you know, even though I had played music all of my life, it wasn't necessarily something I knew I wanted to pursue as a career. And I think I felt kind of lost in general. And then, you know, I made a decision that I was going to start practicing super hard and start working really hard at music. And just sort of that change has probably been, you know, one of the most positive things in my life.
Hey, this is McCarthy speaking. Just to clarify, so your question was the best memory you have making music, or
just a memory that stands out to you, something that keeps you motivated?
I don't know. I can't think of anything. There's so many. Maybe the release show that we did recently and within the last month.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. It's great. Good question. I'm stumped.
Yeah, and I think this is true for most musicians, I guess, but with the release show, I think that's a big motivating factor because we've done shows for literally like one guy and the bartender, and then we've done like packed, you know, big packed kind of standing room venues, and seeing how far the difference can go is definitely really motivating.
Absolutely.
Also,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, one little thing I just thought of. It's kind of tough to look at that question like that, because I think that at this point, all of us are looking at music as a career, a job. So it's hard to pinpoint like a specific event that we did that keeps us motivated. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because of like, if we're looking at it from the perspective of like, this is what we do for a living now, that is kind of the primary motivation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even
we
if
all
there's
feel
a
like we
bad
don't-
night or bad show or something. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I feel like we all feel like we don't really have another choice. Like, you know, there's not a plan B. It's going to be a career in music, no matter how it pans out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the motivation is just as simple as this is just what we want to be doing. Even if we have a bad experience here and there, I mean, that's always going to happen.
I will add, and I don't want to speak for all of them, but I'm assuming this is pretty true, at least it is for me. If I'm playing 3-4 shows a weekend, there's a chance at least one of them's probably going to be at least mediocre, if not just outright not super fun, but it's fine and it happens. And yeah, you just do another show the next night and it'll be better.
Sure, absolutely. So, on that note, where can people check you out and take a listen to the stuff that you guys are making?
Sure. Well, we're on all of the, typical social media and streaming platforms. Our band name is In Vinegar. That's INNVINEGAR. And our new album is called Pastel Places. You can find that on, Spotify and everything. And we do a pretty good job of keeping up with all of our happenings on, Facebook and Instagram.
All right. And then I always like to give the people that I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word at the end. So if each of you just want to go take a round and, just put out a message that you kind of feel you live by.
That's pretty hard. I mean, I just, it's not really anything I can put into words, but when I get doubtful and when those bad experiences we were just talking about happen, I just got to remember that, the resources are there at, my use or my disposal. And for me to stray away from that personally would be really foolish. And that's the motivation I would give to any listener who doesn't play or does play. Just keep on going. There's ups and downs as much as there is with anything else in life. And at the end of the day, that's what does it for me.
This is Jesse. The music that we make is pretty far out and weird, especially coming from our scene, which can be, I don't want to say bland, but not necessarily too adventurous. And I think the thing that I value most about this band is that we've always stuck to our guns and we've made weird music that some people are just completely not into. But other people seem to really love it and appreciate the fact that we make something different. So I would say, never try to make music to fit within a mold. Even if people don't like it, there will always be people out there that want to listen to it, and it will be more personally fulfilling to make the sounds that you want to.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess I could add on to that a little bit. I guess my thing would be, don't be afraid to try new things, musically speaking, and don't worry too much about what other people think or how they might judge it or dismiss it. And I think as far as our band and Vinegar, that's kind of been, those things have been kind of in the forefront of our minds, and that's kind of helped us comfortably make the kind of music that we've been doing. So that's really what I got to
add. All right.
On my end, I guess I definitely echo what everyone else has said about kind of sticking, and the same applies, I guess, within the band. And I think that's what made this band so unique, is we really, disagree on a lot of stuff sometimes, but it's what makes the band successful. Because if we tried to just fit one style, it wouldn't be what it is, for better or for worse, but in my opinion, for better. And, not quite compromising, but just pulling in all different directions can really get you to discover something new, which, is the fun part.